This is the Red Podcast.
David Hooper, Red Podcast here. Sorry for ghosting on you. Didn't mean for that to happen. Red Podcast is back this week. I got caught up editing an upcoming episode. It's taking a bit longer than I thought. But the big reason that you haven't heard from me is not just that editing. It's that I started a brand new podcast. It's just for podcasters. It's called Big Podcast Daily. And as the name suggests, it is daily. If you have a podcast or you want a podcast, I'm going to have a link to this on redpodcast.com, or you can search for Big Podcast Daily, Apple Podcast, Google Play Music, wherever you get your podcast. Big Podcast Daily will let you subscribe. It's quick, it's straight to the point. It's a lot like Red Podcast, but just for podcasters. So if you want to use this media to reach your audience, establish your authority, deliver your message, check out Big Podcast Daily. I've actually got lots of upcoming content just for podcasters. I've got a newsletter. And if you're interested in that, go to bigpodcast.com. You can sign up for it. It is free. I'm working on another live event. It's going to be in Nashville. It's going to be in April. And I would love for you to join me. If you sign up for that newsletter at bigpodcast.com, I'll send you updates as soon as I get them. And of course, you'll be updated here on Red Podcast. I'm also working on an in-depth training. This is podcast training like you have never seen before. There's a lot of podcast training out there. It tells you how to connect cables to microphones, cables to mixers. This is not that. This is going very deep into the skill of being a podcast host, but also dives into my marketing training. If that sounds interesting to you, I'm happy to talk with you about it. It's going to be starting up in January. Reach out to me. You can do that via Twitter at David Hooper. You can do that through redpodcast.com. If you want to hang out a little bit, wait till more details are available. I will absolutely give them to you here. Until then, check out the new podcast, Big Podcast Daily. Right now, I'm writing up a document that will explain to you exactly what you need to do, the step-by-step process for you to easily create a daily podcast. It's something that I'm experimenting with. So far, it's gone very well. I think it's a good way to get your message out there. I've got an easy way to do it. I'm going to share it with you. I'll keep you updated. If you haven't already subscribed to Red Podcast, go to redpodcast.com. Look in the top left corner. You got an iPhone? I've got an app for you. Android? Got an app for you. However you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, I've got a way for you to easily subscribe. One click is all it takes. Go to redpodcast.com. Look in the top left. Thank you so much. Red Podcast returns in the next couple of days, and I'll see you soon on the next episode.